Hello there, thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and this is one beauty of a 1956 rock and roll concert poster right when the genre, of course, was being born in the public eye, 1956. Oh my goodness, biggest in-person show of 56. What a great, just a great poster. Now this, of course, is a trimmed version. Small trim on all three sides, and then the top part trimmed off big time. It's I've sort of nicknamed this a trunk, but it's definitely the original piece of cardboard, and it dates from 1956, obviously, and just a sweet collector's item as it is. Obviously, us collectors prefer the full poster, but we take what we can get in the world of collecting, that's for sure. Biggest in-person show of 56, brought to you by Super Attractions, in the fine print up in the corner. That would turn into the biggest show of Stars people the next year, in 1957. But this was from the fall of 1956, and the tour ran from at least mid-October to Thanksgiving, probably a 2-month tour. I do have evidence of this poster being used with the venue info and date on several other occasions, and I'll just flash you a couple of quick pictures. Here it is from October 11th in Providence, Rhode Island, and here it is from Wichita, Kansas on November 18th. So, those are two of the fully intact posters that are framed, and this is the trimmed one, actually in a bigger size than's ever been seen before, in this 22 by 28 inch size before trimming, I should add. So, okay, so we've got up there really the co-headliners. There's Bill Haley and his Comets, and what's unfortunate here is by the fall of 56, good old Haley was almost toast his career, because Elvis just came along earlier in 56 and wiped everything clean. But Haley had carried things obviously in 54 and 5 and the first part of 6. And notice the song title is See You Later Alligator. That's great to have on a poster, but that was his last top 10 record. And in fact, his last top 20 was behind Bill Haley as well. He would sneak into the top 40 just a couple of more times and then be gone. But still, you gotta love the guy for what he did, and look at that with his famous Gibson guitar and his plaid sports jacket. Just love that. It's so nice, so cool. And right across from Bill is the Platters. Wow, right there up at the top. And total rhythm and blues monsters of 50s rock and roll. And a couple of song titles given. You've got that Magic Touch, which was a top 5 record in the spring of 56, earlier. And then My Prayer is on there, which was #1 for a month this very summer. And so a couple of really sweet song titles. It's kind of funny too, My Prayer was a big recent record, and it doesn't look like, one of the Platters actually has his hands together in a prayer pose. It's also kind of funny the way the poster design person had to assemble 3 different photographs to depict the 5 members of the Platters, so that's kind of a funny thing. Okay, then right there, look at that. Front and center, Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers, with a classic song title, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? To me, this artist, this Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers, with that song title, sort of owns the poster. I mean, it's just such, he's a tough artist to get on poster because of his short career, especially with the Teenagers. What was that, a year or a little bit longer? But Why Do Fools Fall in Love? I mean, heck, that was like #1 for a month R&B, and then he would have 5 more top 10 R&B hits, Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers would, and then 1 hit next summer, and that was it. And, Frankie, I mean, look at him there, look at that picture. He's only 14 years old at this time. That picture, he's 14, and he died at the age of 25, so you just don't get a lot of chances to see Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers on a concert poster, and with that great song title, to me, again, I just sort of feel like it owns the poster. And there we have Clyde McPhatter, also on there in the blue background, as you can see. Treasure of Love is the record given. This is amazing. Clyde was age 23 at this time, and he was already a veteran of Billy Ward and the Dominoes, the Drifters, and the Army. He had gone through all those, was back out on his own as Clyde McPhatter, and Treasure of Love was a #1 R&B hit for him, which is great. His actually 3rd top 10 R&B hit, and it went top 20 pop. And you might know him as being a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Then opposite Clyde there, you've got the Clovers with 5 individual headshots. Always funny the way they used to do that in the old graphic days. The end of a very distinguished career for the Clovers. Their R&B chart career anyway. Love, Love, Love was a top 5 R&B hit this summer, but they'd never enter the top 20 again. But boy, they were still an incredibly respected act at this point, because Love, Love, Love was their 19th top 10 R&B hit since 1951. Then you've got Chuck Berry there. Look at that. He's also in the center with Roll Over Beethoven. If Frankie Lyman doesn't own this poster, I think Chuck Berry does. Obviously a killer artist to get on a vintage concert poster, and with that song title, holy cats. Only a year into Chuck's career, and Roll Over Beethoven was went number 2 R&B, and of course the Beatles covered the heck out of it. In fact, they played Roll Over Beethoven as the very first song of their very first concert in America. February 1964, Washington, D.C., they opened with Roll Over Beethoven. In fact, speaking of the Beatles, do you want to know a secret? Chuck Berry turned 30 years old during this tour. Ouch, 30. This is a rock and roll teenage show. He was born in 1926. But if you think that stuff, Bill Haley was born in 1925. So, you know, it's all relative. You have to really put yourself back there in the time. So then you've got Ella Johnson there in the red, see, with no picture and no song title. And that's her brother, Buddy Johnson, leading the orchestra down there right above my fingertips. Buddy Johnson and his big orchestra, so they're a brother and sister act. And let's see, they together they charted 5 top 20 R&B hits from 53 to 56, and they were on the Mercury record label, which was just great for R&B stuff. And during World War II, actually in 1944, Ella had a #1 record with When My Man Comes Home. There's no sense zeroing in on her, it only shows the name. But obviously a World War II song like When My Man Comes Home is very appropriate. So Buddy and Ella together there here on the poster. Then you've got Shirley and Lee. Boy, did they get short shrift or what? Look at that. No picture, no song title, but Let the Good Times Roll, which everybody knows. Heavens, that was their current hit, and it would be #1 R&B for a whole month. But I guess it just wasn't climbing up the charts yet when this poster was designed. But they did have 2 previous R&B hits that both went to #2. So I don't know what happened with Shirley and Lee. They really got down-billed. Then you've got even smaller names down toward the bottom, partly cut off by scissors there by the previous owner, but there's Shirley Gunter. They accidentally put an H into her name. It's supposed to be Shirley Gunter. And that typo actually changes the pronunciation of her name, which is always the roughest form of typo for sure. But we have the brother-sister thing going on again because Shirley's brother was in the Flares. If you move across the poster, there you see the Flares. And the Flares didn't chart anything, as it turns out, but she had 1 top 10 hit in 1954. And then we've talked about Buddy Johnson as part of the brother-sister act, and he, as long as we're going into ages, he was over 40. But a very respected band leader, jazz and blues pianist, and composer. In fact, Buddy Johnson, whoops, as I fumble the poster, Buddy wrote the well-known classic Since I Fell for You. And Ella she did record it, but couldn't chart it. But then Lenny Welch turned that song into a standard in the early 60s. So a lot of fun background for all these, you know, seminal R&B and rock and roll artists, and just a beautiful piece of cardboard, a great concert poster. 1956, right when rock and roll was on the launching pad. And again, they made this poster for tour dates over a couple of months. So whether it be a handbill or a poster, if you know of one, please let me know. I'd love to add it to the database for all the different cities and stops this tour played. So, biggest in person of 56. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for coming by, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.